Hello and welcome. I'm Randy Bueller. It is time for another Deck Tech. I've got with me Hall of Famer William Jensen.
Good to see you.
Congratulations on your run in this tournament so far. You've been leading it pretty much wire to wire. Tell me, what's the deck? What deck did you wind up playing and why?
So, me and a good portion of my team went with Orzhov Midrange. Basically, Paul Rietzel championed it.
Okay.
He came out and we said we thought the three biggest decks, and I mean, I'm sure every team said this, we thought the three biggest decks were going to be black, blue, and Revelation decks.
Sure.
As time went on, we thought the Revelation decks, or at least some of us thought the Revelation decks just weren't quite good enough. And so we started to decide, you know what, we really want to beat black. We just think black is going to be the deck. It's been the deck for a year. Paul said he had been playing a lot on Magic Online with the Orzhov Midrange deck. He liked the matchup against black. I mean, as much as you can like a matchup against black.
Sure.
And so we went with that.
All right, well, let's take a look at some of the cards you've gotten here. Lots of removal. You can kill things. If it needs to die, you can kill it.
Yep. So obviously, Hero's Downfall, 3-mana removal. Some people actually played 7 2-mana removal. Most of us played 6. We thought the others played 2 Downfall. We felt that like the versatility of Hero's Downfall, being able to kill a Planeswalker, made it worth it. Devour Flesh, if people came to the same conclusion as us and had a lot of Blood Barons, that's a card that we wanted to have access to, so at least we had an out to it.
Makes sense.
Bile Blight is just a great card. It's efficient. It kills Nightveil Spectre, which is really important for 2-mana removal, and there's not a lot of good ways to kill it for 2 mana. I mean, reliably, like Devour Flesh can't reliably kill it for 2 mana, Ultimate Price can't kill it, Doomblade can't kill it. So we wanted to have, a pretty good amount of those. 1 Ultimate Price to kill opposing demons and gain tempo.
Okay. Now, the next batch of cards, this is really the core of the deck, yeah?
Oh yeah, I mean, any black Devotion, black mid-range type deck in this format can just start with these 11 cards, oftentimes with the 4th connections even, as 12. You just win so many games by going turn 1, turn 2, or turn 1, turn 3.
Okay.
It's just so hard for people to catch back up.
That's been the plan for you so far this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, when it works, it's like, yeah.
Shrug, sorry.
Yeah. Well, like, I won a game this weekend where I cast 1 card. I just cast Pack Rat, and I never cast another spell. I mean, okay, like in Limited, but in Constructed, if you're getting a win by casting a turn 2 spell and not casting another spell, it's a pretty powerful card.
Okay, the next batch of cards. These are the big boys at the top of the curve?
Yeah, so...
And it's Lifebane, no Nightveil Spectre.
Right. So that's sort of the classic conundrum of which of the 3 drops to put in your deck, Lifebane, Zombie, or Nightveil Spectre. Ultimately, Lifebane is good against black-white, which we thought a lot of people were going to get to. It gets Blood Baron, it gets Obsidat. After sideboard, maybe it gets Sin Collector or something like that.
Okay.
Nightveil Spectre is a little better against non-white black, but against like a green deck or a white deck, it's just like...
Feels unfair.
It's an unreasonable card.
Yeah.
Like, it can exile a creature from hand, it can attack through straight to Planeswalkers if you need to. So we opted to go with those, and they've been very good for me so far. I'm pretty happy with it.
Now, so far, the deck looks basically like a Black Devotion deck. I mean, if we just put some Gray Merchants up there, it would look just like a Black Devotion deck. But now, let's talk about this card, because this is really, I mean, the impression I get, you guys didn't want the Gray Merchants, you didn't want the mono-black strategy, you wanted this guy.
Well, he's great against black, and he's great against white. He's great against white-green aggro specifically. Advent of the Worm can be a problem, but all their creatures, for the most part, except for like Experiment 1 and Advent of the Worm tokens, are green and white. We found like that was a reasonably tough matchup, but if you were able to just curve a couple removal spells into a Blood Baron, they usually couldn't attack through without like an Ajani to give flying or something. So it's not at its best versus mono blue, the Blood Baron. Like it has to trade for a Frostburn weird too often or like whatever. But also, even versus a Rev deck, it's like it has to be verdicted. It can't be sphered, it can't be banishing lighted. So
makes sense. But now you guys didn't just splash white. If we look at the next batch of cards, you went pretty heavy in. This is, double white, double white.
Well, now that we have Caves of Koilos, we don't have to play Orzhov Guildgate, you can do this stuff. Obsidat gives us, a bit of a versatile threat. Banishing Light is what we actually played sort of instead of the third and fourth downfalls, or instead of the fourth downfall, because this kills connections. It can kill connections, or it can kill Demon, or Thassa, or these cards that you really, these 3-mana cards that you want answers to, but you can't find them in black. Elspeth is just the most powerful card in Standard, arguably, and it's good in almost every matchup, and it's a great finisher, so.
Makes sense. If we look at the last slide, here's the lands. This Caves of Koilos is the key that makes the whole thing work?
Well, I mean, does it make it work? Not necessarily. If you just made these 4 Orzhov Guild Gates, the deck would function, but your draws would be a lot clunkier, a lot slower. As it is, we have 4 lands that always come into play tapped. Having 8 that always come into play tapped. It's tough sometimes. You want to go Thoughtseize, Packer Hat, make a rat. If one of those lands comes into play tapped, you don't get to.
Doesn't work.
That can be the difference between a win and a loss. So Caves of Koilos definitely helped a lot.
Now, any regrets? You've been through most of the tournament as we record this.
No, you're asking the wrong guy for regrets.
Fair enough.
Far. Yeah.
Is this something you'd recommend other people play? It just feels like the right call for this.
It's a really
good
deck, really powerful deck. Yeah, I'd recommend it.
All right, there you heard it. The man's on top of the tournament. Hard to argue with that. White-black mid-range, definitely one of the decks you got to think about in Standard right now. We'll be back.